Hello, hello. What I wanted to do this video about today was a question that I've received from someone. At first, I wasn't going to blog about it, but I thought actually it's a question a lot of people can ask. Um, and this person had asked, since, I'm talking about finding the beauty in death and the good in death and bloody, bloody, blah. Hopefully, you know what it is I talk about. And healing from grief, of course, healing completely from grief. Then they presented me with a scenario and said, well, what about this scenario? And I won't say what it is, just, you know, something that we see is just terribly tragic, terrible scenario. All of us will have it. All of us will have, each one of you would have, yeah, but what about this? I read this terrible thing in the newspaper that happened. This person died this way. I mean, this is horrific. Or, no, this, it could be someone in your family, someone you know, but more often than not, it's not. Um, People say, how could you possibly say X, Y, and Z has any good to it? How could this person over here ever heal? How could this person over here ever recover? What would you even do to begin to help this person? So there's a couple of answers to that. There's three things I want to say to that, actually. So the first is to be really aware of your own beliefs. It can be an invitation to look at your own beliefs, because what I find is people have kind of beliefs around death and grief that often aren't very solid. So, how am I trying to put this? Okay, so just firstly, allow yourself to see what's going on in you, that something in you is gone. Okay, there's no way to heal from that. There's no way to heal from that. That's your first, the wall's gone up. The wall's gone up. I can't see it, so it can't be there. And the wall goes up. So notice that in yourself. And often I'll find, sometimes people will have beliefs like, well, everything happens for a reason. And typically when I talk about people's beliefs here around like everything happens for a reason, I'm not discounting that. I'm not necessarily agreeing or disagreeing with it, I won't say. But that's not what I'm doing. What I'm saying is that often people have ideas like that but not fully believe in them themselves. This is what I see a lot when it comes to death. So people will throw that one around. Everything happens for a reason, everything happens for a reason, which is very easy to believe when things are going well. Or when something small and bad happens, just small. You lose your wallet, but somebody wonderful returns it to you, and then you become friends, You break your leg, but then you're at home and you write your book. But what happens when you see something that you think is truly horrific happen? You see a truly horrific death or some other kind of incident. Then what happens? Then does everything happen for a reason? So what happens there is that it turns out the belief is not that strong. We have these beliefs that can be quite convenient when things are going well or when it's an easy picture to see. But if we can't see the answer in that scenario, then the whole thing goes out the window. Not because necessarily things don't happen for a reason, but you just not able to see it there. And another example is beautiful. Sometimes people say to me, yes, I absolutely agree, death is beautiful and what we go on to is beautiful, or yes, it's all part of God's plan. And again, I'm not saying whether I agree or disagree with any of these things. And I'm not calling their validity into question, but I am questioning people's own strength in those beliefs. Somebody might say, God has a plan, God has a plan, God has a plan, and then a bus full of kids goes off a bridge and they all die, and they go, well, where's God's plan now? They can't find the answer to that easily, and that puts, the reality is that their belief wasn't that strong. Not that their belief is necessarily wrong, but their belief is not that strong under it. So if you find yourself going, well, there's no way that person can heal. How in God's name could that person? There's no way there can be any good or beauty in that death over there. Absolutely impossible. Let that be an opportunity to come back, just examine your own beliefs, because maybe you have some nice beliefs that are superficial. And again, not that they're wrong, but maybe you don't believe them as strongly as you think you do. If you have a belief that everything is God's plan, if you have a belief that everything happens for a reason, if you have a belief that death is beautiful, then you can still look in a situation like that. It's just going to be a lot damn harder. But that brings me to my second point. when you are looking at a situation that is not your own situation, you're dealing in hypothetical. So someone will say to me, well, how can this person over here heal when a child died in this traumatic way and went through this horrible illness and blah, blah, blah? How can they possibly heal? Well, I don't have that person's answers, and you don't have that person's answers. And if that's not either your intimate situation or my intimate situation, then we're just talking about hypotheticals. I don't have the answers unless I'm spending time with that person in that scenario and working with them. I don't have the answers, and nor do you. So, and it can actually, the problem is it can actually become a bit of a distraction away from your own scenario. So if you have some grief that you can work on, if you have a death in your life that you don't see as fully beautiful, and if you have grief around it, then you still haven't fully got to the bottom of the beauty of that. That's where you start. You are not going to find your answers in someone else's situation, particularly not someone you've seen on the news or in the paper. You don't even know this person. You're never going to get any more information than what you read in a news article or saw on the news. You're never going to get to the bottom of that. And also it distracts you away from doing the only piece of work that will help you to really get a deeper understanding and a deeper belief and a deeper opportunity to look at the beauty of death, which is doing it in your own life. It's the only place you can do it. I remember being on a course years and years ago with someone, and the teacher, the coach, was showing people, how everything in their life served them, everything. And someone would go, well, I know somebody who went through this horrific abuse, or I know someone, all these crimes were committed against them, and I know someone who had this and that happen. And the guy's saying, yeah, but you can't get answers to that. You can't figure that out. And all you're doing is distracting from the own parts of your life that you can't find the answers for. Because if you could truly see, as an example, that every part of your life had served you, every part, good and bad, had served you, you would have much more confidence in knowing, okay, there's more to that than I can see, maybe more to that than any of them can see. That's what happens for me. So I know there is beauty and meaning in every death for two reasons. One, because I found it in my own life after a death. Right, it's the only place you can truly find it, unless you're given the opportunity, like I am. Number two, to spend time with other people and explore deaths with them. And people don't come to me. Most of my clients haven't come to me because their 90-year-old mother died peacefully in bed, and lived a life that we expect she should have, and had a good full life. And it all seemed to make sense. Right, and I do get some people like that, because not to say those people necessarily are doing a whole lot better with their grief than anyone else, but I also deal with murders and suicides and all sorts of, I don't go into too much detail because I don't want anybody identified, but all sorts of pretty hair-raising deaths, and including somewhere people have a sense of responsibility for what's happened. But again, because I get to see that time and time and time again the answers are there, I know that they're always there. Right. Now, if you're in a situation where you haven't healed your grief, but you're looking around going, well, how can they, you're not going to get anywhere with that, and it's a waste of your time. You don't have their answers, you don't need their answers, you need your own answers. That person over there that you don't know, you've never met, is just a story in the paper, is a hypothetical. And neither you nor I can find their answers. And, if that person who'd been through this, absolutely horrific situation came to me, well, I don't have their answers either. They have them. I know the path, I know the questions, and I would work with them and guide them, and together with them, we would find their answers together. But I don't have the answers before they come to me. But I know that the answers are there, and I know that the beauty is there, and I know that the healing is there to have. Only because I've healed my own grief, and I've been fortunate enough to be party to many, many, many people healing theirs as well. So if you find yourself looking around going, well, but what about that situation? How there? Stop looking at your answers are not there. You will never have the answers for there. And the only place you will ever become confident that there are answers over there, even if you can't know them, are finding your own answers. Bring your attention back to your own life. You will never find, these ways that we think about life. You don't find the answers to those questions in the lives of people around you, certainly not in distant people around you. It's only when you're able to see it time and time again in your own life that you'll find that kind of certainty. So don't be distracted worrying about how could that person ever heal? How could that person ever heal? There is only one person you need to worry about healing. Only one unhealed person that you need to worry about healing, and that is yourself. That is yourself. Bring your attention back to you. Always, because it is only from there as well that if you were to meet someone in this terrible situation, that you would have the chance of inspiring them, that they too could find something different. Only when you can come from the confidence and the solid understanding and the solid knowledge of the beauty of death that comes with having healed yourself. Otherwise, this is all theory. And actually, until you've done the work and healed yourself, it is just theory. Really nice theory, and I'm glad you're here with me, believing my theory. But with every client I work with, I always say to them at the beginning that, I explain every step that we do. I explain the grief process, which is what I take everybody through, no matter what the situation. We go through the same grief process. Where we go in that, and this is my grief process, not stages of grief or any nonsense like that. It's my 10-step healing process. We go through, where we go in that is different for everybody, but we go through the same process. And I know for each person, until we've completed a step, until we're working through it, they're not going to get it. It's nice ideas until you can see it in your own life. That's all you have to worry about. All right, so I hope that makes sense, and I hope that's useful insofar it stops you from putting your energy out there going but. Instead, bringing it back and doing your own healing, the only thing you can do, and the only thing worthwhile for you to do. All right, lots of love until next time.